President Trump was told by the Attorney General that he is in the Jeffrey Epstein files. He was told he was in the files 2 months ago, and then last week said, no, he wasn't. He was.
Hey everyone, Carl here. The carefully constructed wall of denials has just been breached, and the man hiding behind it is scrambling. This is not a political setback. This is a legal and political detonation, with the explosion centered in a federal courtroom and the shockwaves reaching directly into the Oval Office. For months, the question has hung in the air, toxic and unavoidable. What did Donald Trump know, and what did he order regarding the evidence in the Jeffrey Epstein case? We have just received the answer, not from a journalist or a political opponent.
The committee this afternoon may very well go down as one of the most brazen, most shameless. The two-tiered system of justice is over. In fact, if Bondi's on-the-record testimony today served to prove anything out in public, anything at all, it is that a two-tiered system of justice has very much been operationalized, is the new reality.
But from the sworn under oath testimony of his own Attorney General Pam Bondi, and her answer has triggered a chain reaction of panic, betrayal, and impending consequences that is unfolding in real time. The scene was Judge Moss's courtroom. The atmosphere was tense, charged with the gravity of prior testimonies, including that of former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Pam Bondi, the nation's top law enforcement officer, took the stand. She had delayed. Her lawyers had argued privilege, but Judge Moss's ruling was final. Attorney-client privilege does not extend to discussions of criminal conspiracy. She had no escape route. From the moment she was seated, her body language was a confession in itself.
This was during a briefing on the findings of the Justice Department's review of the documents related to Epstein. That's according to sources familiar with the discussion. Those sources said the Justice Department's review found that the files appeared to include several unsubstantiated claims that they determined not to be credible, including those relating to Trump. Bondi also raised in the meeting that several names of other high-profile figures were mentioned, the official said. And it's worth noting that being mentioned in the files does not in any way indicate wrongdoing.
The usual steely composure was gone, replaced by palpable nervousness, a tremor in the hands, a sheen of sweat, eyes that darted towards her frantic attorneys. The prosecutor methodically laid the groundwork before arriving at the precipice. The question, when it came, cut through the legal formalities. Did you, under instruction from President Trump, authorize the destruction of evidence related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation? A silence descended thick and heavy. Her legal team erupted in objections.
Colleagues Ken Delaney and Vaughn Hilliard are covering this developing story since we've been on the air, and I want to share this update to their reporting. They report that Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino is considering leaving his job after this heated confrontation with Attorney General Pam Bondi over his frustration with how the Justice Department has handled the Jeffrey Epstein files. That's according to a person who's spoken with Bongino and a source familiar with Bongino and FBI Director Kash Patel's interactions with Bondi. Quote, Bongino is out of control, furious. The person who has spoken with the Deputy FBI Director said, quote, this destroyed his career. He's threatening to quit and torch Pam unless she is fired.
A last-ditch effort to build a wall with words. Judge Moss demolished it. The question stood, and then Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, spoke the words that have changed everything. Yes, the president instructed log destruction for national security. Log destruction. There it was. A direct on-there admission of a felony, obstruction of justice, from the person theoretically in charge of upholding the law. Her excuse, national security, rang hollow. A transparent fig leaf for an act of pure self-preservation ordered by the president. But the courtroom earthquake was just beginning.
The Wall Street Journal, who first reported this story, said that AG Bondi, who was joined in the briefing by her deputy Todd Blanche, who previously served as President Trump's attorney in the criminal hush money trial.
The prosecutor then introduced the so-called fatal confession tape. The leaked audio that has circulated for weeks alleged to capture Trump's voice giving the order, played in the solemn quiet of the court. The voice was unmistakable. Bury the Epstein list. Bondi was asked, was this the conversation? Visibly crumbling, cornered by the digital evidence, she authenticated it. Yes, she confirmed. That recording is from a conversation I had with the president regarding the evidence in question. In that moment, two independent threads of evidence, sworn testimony, and a secret recording braided together into an unbreakable rope. She had not only confessed her own crime, but had validated the smoking gun that implicated her boss.
The briefing took place in May, weeks before the Justice Department released a memo on July 6th attempting to close the book on Jeffrey Epstein, which said, quote, no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. That memo kicked up a furor in the president's supporters. Among them,
Judge Moss, a portrait of judicial restraint finally reaching its limit, responded with a pronouncement that echoed through the chamber. He stated that Bondi's admission alone constituted felony obstruction, warranting a potential 20-year sentence, and immediately scheduled a contempt hearing for the following day. The sitting attorney general was now staring down the barrel of immediate sanctions and possible arrest. The corroboration was devastating. Bondi's testimony was a perfect match for Mark Meadows' earlier statements. Meadows described Trump ordering evidence burned. Bondi admitted to carrying it out. Two top officials under oath telling the same damning story. This is the prosecutorial dream. A corroborated narrative that leaves no room for credible denial. Trump's reaction was instantaneous and telling. Within hours, the Truth Social tantrum began. The woman he had days prior praised as loyal and the best was now Bondi weak, a figure who had folded to deep state pressure. This is the quintessential Trump pattern. Unwavering loyalty is demanded. But the moment that loyalty conflicts with self-preservation and the truth emerges, the loyalist is jettisoned and vilified. He doesn't defend the action. He attacks the witness. This betrayal from above has triggered a political avalanche. First, the legal front. Bondi is now in existential legal peril, facing Judge Moss's wrath and a potential contempt citation. Her most likely path is to become a cooperating witness. Like Meadows before her, she holds the keys to the kingdom, a detailed map of every directive, every pressure campaign, every attempted obstruction from the president over the past year. Her incentive to deal is now immense. Full cooperation in exchange for leniency. She can detail not just the Epstein cover-up, but a potential pattern of abuse across agencies. Second, the impeachment engine. In Congress, a dormant machinery has roared to life at shocking speed. House leadership, citing Bondi's confession as a game-over moment, is fast-tracking articles of impeachment. The focus is clear: obstruction of justice, abuse of power, witness tampering. The vote is now targeted for January 6th, a date heavy with symbolic weight marking exactly 4 years since the Capitol attack. They are building the case that Trump's lawlessness is not an anomaly, but a consistent trait. Third, the Senate calculus, the ultimate barrier to removal, a 2-3 Senate vote, has suddenly shifted from impossible to plausible. Public opinion is moving violently. Polls cited in the testimony show 65% of Americans now support conviction and removal. Trump's approval has cratered to an unprecedented 27%. This changes the political risk for Republican senators. While a solid core will remain loyal, moderates in purple states and institutionalists concerned with legacy are now calculating. They no longer see a popular president to protect. They see a sinking ship with overwhelming evidence of criminality tied to it. The 17 Republican votes needed for conviction no longer look like a fantasy, but a mounting possibility. Fourth, the expanding web. Bondi's testimony explicitly ties into Meadows' claims about Trump ordering FBI Director Kash Patel to freeze investigations. This paints a picture of a coordinated multi-agency cover-up. The Attorney General to destroy evidence, the FBI Director to stifle the probe. Patel now stands as the next domino. Subpoenas are inevitable. He will face the same impossible choice: perjury or betrayal. The pattern suggests he, too, may choose to save himself. Fifth, the personal unraveling. Trump's public rage is the behavior of a man who feels the walls closing in. The Truth Social post-attacking Bondi are not the statements of a confident, innocent man. They are the flailing of someone who knows a damning truth has been officially documented. Each attack reinforces the narrative of guilt and desperation. His collapsing political support isolates him further, making him more volatile and less defensible to his own party. The convergence is total. This is not one isolated scandal. Bondi's confession links the Epstein cover-up to the asset seizure case before Judge Moss, to the impending Supreme Court testimony on self-pardons, to the fracturing of the GOP. It provides the why behind the what, explaining the desperate need to bury evidence that connected him to a monstrous criminal network. The story is no longer about allegations, it is about admission. The Attorney General has confessed to a felony and implicated the president. The panic emanating from Trump and his inner circle is not performative. It is the genuine terror of consequences finally becoming real, of loyalists choosing prison sentences over blind allegiance, and of a historical reckoning that can no longer be delayed, dismissed, or destroyed. The walls are no longer closing in. They have been erected by sworn testimony, and Donald Trump is now trapped inside with the truth.